So Othello now thinks his wife is cheating, and his way of proving it, his way of seeing her infidelity, is this handkerchief, which Desdemona can't find, remember, because Amelia has taken it. So Desdemona is really worried when she can't find this handkerchief. She says, I'd rather have lost my purse full of crescendos, right? I'd rather lose all my money. She says, but my noble Moor is true of mine and made of no such baseness as jealous creatures are. It were enough to put him to ill thinking, right? Desmond was basically saying, I'm worried because Othello's not a jealous person, but if I can't find this handkerchief, it would be enough to make him question me. It would be enough to make him concerned. So again, we see this handkerchief is a symbol of their love. And this is how Othello is proving that Desdemona is cheating. If she can't produce the handkerchief, then she must have cheated on him. So he tells her, lend me thy handkerchief, right? This is his ocular proof. And she keeps going back to Cassio. She says, I have sent to bid Cassio come speak with you. So she wants Othello to speak with Cassio because she's promised Cassio to help him and Othello make up, to help him and Othello get back together after the fight where Cassio lost his position of lieutenant and had his reputation damaged by the fight in the streets. And in this way, we really see that Iago is such a devilish figure because he is taking what is good in these characters and he is perverting it and twisting it and turning it into something terrible, right? He tells us at the end of Act 2, thus will I make her virtue pitch. So Desdemona is so kind and caring and would do anything to help a person. This is a good thing. But Iago is making it look like she is cheating because she keeps trying to help Cassio. He's perverting this noble characteristic in her. Othello is so trusting and loving. This is a good thing, but Iago is perverting it. He's using it to his advantage to make Othello believe him and to destroy Othello because he loves his wife so much and is so devastated by her potential affair here. So we learn a little more about this handkerchief on page 157. Othello says that this is, again, not just any old cloth, that this handkerchief is special, and it's a family heirloom. That handkerchief did an Egyptian to my mother give. She was a charmer and could almost read the thoughts of people. She told her while she kept it 'twould make her amiable and subdue my father entirely to her love. But if she lost it or made a gift of it, my father's eye should hold her loath, and his spirit should hunt after new fancies. She dying gave it to me, and bid me when my fate would have me wived to give it her. I did so, and take heed on it. Make it a darling like your precious eye. To lose it or give it way were such perdition as nothing else could match. So we find out here that this handkerchief is magic, that Othello's mother got it from an Egyptian charmer who told her it had the power to make Othello's father love her and remain faithful to her. And if she lost it, that he would no longer love her and he would no longer be faithful. So this handkerchief doesn't just symbolize love, it also symbolizes fidelity. It has the ability to make a person faithful. He says there's magic in the web of it. And he makes this comment here that if she loses it, if Desdemona loses it, it would bring perdition, and perdition is hell. So again, we're reminded that Iago is creating this hell by having taken this handkerchief and planted it in Cassio's room. It's really interesting here that Shakespeare is now having Othello play into these stereotypes that were pointed out as being very foolish in Act 1. So remember, back in Act 1, Othello was accused of practicing witchcraft, that the only way Desdemona could possibly have gone with him, been interested in him, is if he had cast some sort of spell on her, which he very logically, very calmly proved to be ridiculous. But now we see Othello starting to feed into these stereotypes, starting to conform to these stereotypes with this handkerchief, which apparently is magic, his first present to her, with his behavior as being very violent, as being very dangerous. So, all of those stereotypes that he was accused of in Act 1 and proved false, he's now feeding into here in Act 3. So, it's almost as if Shakespeare is suggesting that Othello does fulfill these stereotypes. But notice it's only after Iago's persuasion, Iago's effects on Othello, that he starts to conform to these stereotypes. So it seems like Shakespeare is suggesting here that these derogatory beliefs and stereotypes in society come from the devil, come from something evil and hellish. All right, so Desdemona, after she hears this about the handkerchief, says, "Then would to God I had never seen it." And notice Othello's reaction. "Ha! Wherefore?" She says, "Why do you speak so startlingly and rash?" So his reaction tells us that when she says she wishes she hadn't seen the handkerchief, he thinks she's saying more than just the handkerchief, because to him, the handkerchief is their love and their fidelity. It's as if she's saying, "I wish I had never seen you. I wish I had never loved you, been faithful to you." So Othello says, "Is it lost? Is it gone? Speak! Is it out of the way?" So what does it mean if she can't find it? To him, it means she doesn't love him, that she's no longer faithful to him. And so if she can't produce the handkerchief, she can't prove her fidelity and love to him. He says, "Fetch it. Let me see it." And unfortunately, Desdemona says the absolute worst thing. She says, "Why, so I can, but I will not now. This is a trick to put me from my suit. Pray you let Cassio be received again." She tries to change the subject by bringing up Cassio, again, the person she promised to help. She's such a good person that she can't let go of this promise to help him. But in doing so, she's making herself look completely guilty. She praises him. She says, "You'll never meet a more sufficient man." And this makes Othello even more convinced. He says, "The handkerchief. I pray you talk me of Cassio. The handkerchief. A man that all his time hath founded his good fortunes on your love, shared dangers with you. The handkerchief. In faith you are to blame. Zounds!" And he leaves. Zounds would have been a curse word back then. So the fact that she can't show him the handkerchief and she keeps talking about Cassio is making her look completely guilty. It's convincing Othello that she is cheating. And notice Amelia, she says, "Is not this man jealous? He's acting completely jealous, right?" Desdemona said, "I never saw this before." So we're reminded here that this is not like him. We know that this is Iago's doing. But Amelia, she's very cynical. She's very experienced. She's very different than Desdemona. She says, "'Tis not a year or two shows us a man. They're all but stomachs, and we all but food. They eat us hungrily, and when they are full, they belch us." So she says that men just use us and throw us away. This is just how things work. All right, so the handkerchief comes back up on page 165. With Bianca, this new character that we met in Act 2, a prostitute from Cyprus that Cassio's been having a relationship with. So Cassio finds the handkerchief and he gives this handkerchief to Bianca. He doesn't know where it came from, but he likes it and he wants her to make a copy of it. Notice her reaction. She thinks that this has come from another woman. He says, "You're jealous now." So again, we see this theme of jealousy. She thinks it's a present from another woman and she's upset with him. But he claims that he just found it, which we know actually is true. But again, this is making things look worse and worse for Othello and what he believes. So let's talk about overall, what does this handkerchief symbolize and how is it functioning in the play? So it's a symbol of love and fidelity. And Shakespeare is really specific about the appearance of this handkerchief. He describes it as being white with red strawberries. So the white here is symbolic of purity and innocence, and strawberries were symbolic of Venus or Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, right? But we're not just talking about any kind of love here. We're talking about sexual love. So this handkerchief represents the tension in the play with Desdemona. It has become a substitute, it has become a proxy for Desdemona. Specifically, Desdemona's sexuality. Since Othello can't actually see if Desdemona is pure or giving her sexuality to others, he is now going to use the handkerchief as his way of seeing what is unable to be seen. And, this brings up some really important and really true and significant issues in society. How can you know for certain someone is true to you? How can you know and see into someone's mind, into someone's heart? How can you ever truly trust a person? You can't. You have to take it on faith. And once that trust is questioned, how can you be certain? Again, it's very difficult. And so, because it's so difficult to know for certain, Iago has created this proxy through the handkerchief, something that can be seen. He's taken something that can't be seen and replaced it with something that can, because Othello wants this ocular proof. And so the appearance of the handkerchief represents the juxtaposition, the questioning between whether Desdemona is pure and innocent or cheating. And because this handkerchief is now with someone else, for Othello, this means that she is, in fact, cheating, that she has sullied her purity, right? When you think about the appearance of the handkerchief, it's white, but it has the dots of red. It's as if the white has been corrupted, has been stained by these strawberries. And that is what Othello now believes about his wife.